Oh, hello! Hey, how the bloody hell are ya? Hey, look, I'm changing up the format once again because, my god, how I get bored, get frustrated at myself. I want higher quality. I don't really want to put in the work. I'm trying to change that with this new format. We're back at the desk. I tried it with loads of different mics. I can walk about. La-dee-da. I don't like walking. I don't like moving from my desk. So here I am back at the desk. We're going to try and put some more visuals to it. That doesn't really matter. Well, the point is, welcome to the In the Back of My Head podcast, episode 49. It's probably written here somewhere, doesn't really matter. Episode 49. What is this, a podcast? This is a weekly. We'll see about that. I might change that as well, so we might go less frequently so I have more time. It's a creative podcast, a blog, a chance for me to talk about some shit that's on my mind. It might get you going as well. Who the fuck knows? Today, let's fucking talk about collage. Taking one thing and another thing, combine them together, boom, you got art, baby. Let's fucking go. Now, me personally, I like the smell of glue. I'm no glue sniffer, don't get me wrong. I'm not out there sniffing it just for the sake of it. But if I get a whiff while I'm in the midst of doing something, no problems. I'm a happy boy. There's a sense of creation, imminent creation. There's a few other smells that have a certain nostalgic vibe, but they're a smell that's like, I'm not sure if I should be smelling this, but I'm enjoying doing it. An example is peeling the plastic cover off a magazine. Remember magazines? Printed media? Ooh, that was a beautiful smell. It was a very delicate, special smell. That one was almost a little bit earthy, a little bit flowery. But the smell of glue is more, well, it's chemicals. It's that petroleum kind of smell, the smell you get in petrol stations. You're like, oh, I shouldn't like this, but I sort of do. No, I definitely do. But I think the main thing, look, it's not about the chemicals. It's about what can I do? What's coming next? There is imminent creation. Things are about to come together. You're about to take one thing and join it with another. My favorite, easily, hands down, my favorite, is the smell of plastic glue. And that's because I'm a bit of a big nerd, you know? That's the Warhammer days. That's the tiny men. Warhammer in a sense of, as Kleenex the tissues, Warhammer I mean tiny soldiers. Tabletop games, sticking little plastic dudes. Take one arm as big as a torso, stick it to a torso. Take a gun as big as that torso, stick it to the arm. Everything is sized in torsos in that realm. That glue smell, that chemically glue smell suggested that I'm about to play God. Creatively, I'm about to play God. I'm about to make something, baby. And that's very fucking exciting. I like that nostalgic smell. Where do we all begin? It was just little tykes. Tiny little babies. Tiny legs. Useless for anything. God, we were so utterly useless. The body is ill-equipped to deal with the world at that point just because you're so tiny. I'm talking about preschool, primary school. You know, when you were a child, you could say. You might say that you were a child at the time. And our first experience with creation is finger paints, things like that. Playing in the dirt, drawing lines with a stick, what have you. But when you're finally allowed to use scissors, shouldn't be running with them, but Lord knows you can, that's stupid, but you can cut up a magazine. And you can combine things. You take one thing, you can combine it with another. Collage. Oh. My brain is very scattered, as many brains are on this planet. Thanks potentially to the internet, the way that we live our lives, the phones that I'm recording on now. Who's to say Who's to say? Is it the chemicals that we ingest? Really, the point is that my brain is all over the fucking shop. And that really translates to my creative practice as well. From these videos, to the music that I make, to the art that I make, to the poetry, to the yada yada. Pick a fucking lane, I would say to myself. Fucking sort your shit out, I would shout from the rooftops or into a dusty mirror. But the more I do this, the longer I do this, be a creative in any sense, especially one as scattered as I am in my head, my little brain box, the more it makes sense. I love combining all these different things. I love combining all these different practices, all these different mediums, and all the different symbolism that I can find in each of those things. That's why I'm very excited to start getting more into video, making the music videos that I've posted recently on here and on my Instagram and what have you, or now making these kind of things. I'm terrified of getting into video, because it is goddamn tedious, I'll tell you that. Combining sounds, visuals, writing, performance, all into this one thing. It takes time. But it's a chance to connect lots of different elements, which is very, very cool to me. And that's one of the core concepts of creativity, of taking one thing and combining it with another. You take a dog body, the body of a dog, no, the head of a dog. Let's take a greyhound. Take a greyhound. And then you take a ship, a warship, a mighty frigate, there to conquer the oceans, or defend borders, some would say. I don't know about all that. And what have you got? You got a dog boat. You got a dog boat. But you don't just have a dog boat. You got the dogs of war. You have a new symbol. You've taken two symbols and combined them together. You now have the dogs of war. Perhaps a symbol for American imperialism. Just to be a little bit wank for you. Just to be a little bit, a little bit, Hey, we're talking about art, baby. Come on, we're talking about art. Let's talk about it. Thinking about collage, and thinking about this scattered nature and combining all these different things and stuff, has got me thinking about two concepts recently. I'm going to try and talk about them both and interweave them to make an episode of this show. It got me thinking about originality in art. And I've had chats with people over a pint of beer about the fear of not being original, the fear of sounding unoriginal, especially in music, is kind of where we were talking about. But in visual arts, in poetry, in film, and what have you, in your video games, choose a fucking medium. How original are you? How original do you need to be? I mean, in the world of making music, everything that we're putting out, everything that we've made, has sort of been heard before. In a way, obviously. There's ever so slight differences, but that's kind of the fun of it, isn't it? That's the exciting part, because I think we as humans, we like the familiarity, we like the repetition, we like the recontextualizations, we like the reinterpretations. How many times can you take a classic house 4/4 beat, 4 on the floor, and put new shit over and go, ooh, this is very fresh, this is very exciting. How many times can we do that? Potentially infinitely. There's still new shit coming out all the goddamn time. Everything we do, everything that we create, is a recontextualization of a piece that we have heard somewhere else. Now that might be a bit derivative. That might be a little bit derivative. Obviously, we're making new shit. Everyone is still making new shit. But to try and be wholly original as an artist is, I think that as a goal is maybe ill-advised, ill-informed. I mean, even in the worlds of, and I've spoken about this before in here, of the world of new music. New music is a off-branch of classical music. And it's basically taking classical instruments and trying to do something really fucking out there, abstract, weird, experimental, interesting, new. Oh, how exciting. Even in that context, you're still playing the cello. You're still playing the violin, viola. There's other instruments, the clarinet, The oboe. Ah, the oboe. I had a terrible oozing oboe when I was sick just recently. So stupid. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry too much about trying to be original as an artist. Not in that sense, not in a technical sense, not in a material sense. I would argue, and I also am now sort of quoting from Adam Savage of Mythbusters fame. What makes art interesting is the point of view of the artist, your point of view. How do you see the world? How do you interpret the symbols that you see? Even like universal symbols that we all come back to. The lone wolf, which is one of my most hated symbols in this day and age, I think for some obvious bloody reasons. We have a certain interpretation and experience with those symbols. Where did you first encounter that symbol? What does it mean to you as a child? That shit sticks in your brain, stays with you for a long time. So your point of view, your individual experience with those symbols still holds enormous weight and value, and I would say maybe, is the true value of your individual art? Potentially. Let's talk about the robots. It's hard not to these days. Talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Sometimes outsmarting me in certain cases. Access to more knowledge, quicker, has seen more art than me, has made more art than me. What is AI art doing? What is it doing? It's taking shit that we've fed it, shit that we've created. In this case, are human beings the true gods of creation? Takes what we've created with our hands and our brains and spits them back out, reinterprets them, remixes them, recontextualizes them. It's interesting when it struggles with things that it's not seen very much of. That's the indication there that it's struggling. It doesn't know what these things mean. It can't create. It can reinterpret, reimagine, recontextualize. But it can't create with any understanding of the symbolism. What it is really good at doing is giving us a Rorschach. A Rorschach of symbols, images. Now music as well. But images is an easier one to work with, I think. Is a Rorschach for us. It's taken all these symbols that it doesn't really understand the meaning of. It can understand the words that we have put, and it can recognize those patterns. It doesn't know the meaning, but it throws them all together like a big blender. And then we go ahead and we place our own meaning on top of it. Beauty in the eye of the beholder. You know, that kind of shit. It doesn't have a point of view. We put our point of view onto it. Which is, I find, an interesting flip. Because is that not the case for art in general? Is that not the case in this particular case, talking about collage, where you are limited by the symbols that you have access to, by these images that you have access to create meaning. But you are implying your own vision, your own point of view, your own meaning onto it as you create it. And then someone comes and reinterprets it and creates their meaning, views it through their eyes. With the AI, only one of those is happening. The observer. The observer is placing their meaning onto it. We impose meaning onto it. Does that mean it is entirely meaningless without the observer? That's probably, arguably, yes. But does that apply to normal art as well? Maybe it's impossible. Is it impossible to create art yourself with no meaning? Is no meaning in itself meaning? You have a point of view. You have a way that you view the world. Viewing them through your eyes or your ears or whatever senses you've got. You have a point of view, and that is in the art. I see art as the other side of the coin to science. And again, I take from Adam Savage. What can I say? I'm on an Adam Savage kick over the past 6 months, 12 months. The other side to the same coin. Categorizing the world, understanding our experience, interpreting our experience. And that is certainly my use for it. Is to take in what I see, what I hear, what I feel, everything, and to try and make sense of it. To try and encapsulate an experience in a piece, basically so that I can move on to the next one. Art interprets our emotional experience, while science interprets the physical. Science categorizes and understands the physical world, tries to figure out how it all works, how it's all interconnected. Very difficult. It can figure out how the chemicals work in our brain, but can it figure out how the soul works? How the heart works? I think not, baby. Maybe at some point. Maybe this is the ticket. Maybe AI is going to be the ticket. Maybe that's the way we're going to find out that kind of stuff. Not yet. Not with this. Not with this AI. Not with this version. Not with this understanding of how it works. There's something deeper there. There's something deeper that is missing. Something human. Something conscious. Actually conscious. Not necessarily human. Who knows what's out there, mate? Who knows what's out there? Crows are pretty clever as well. I reckon they're a step ahead. They're a step ahead of the AI. That's how I use art. That's how we all use art, surely. It is to interpret our emotional experience of the world, which is tied to the physical, tied to our real world experiences, but it is our emotional reaction, our emotional experience that is then interpreted through art. And AI has no point of view, and it has no emotional experience. It is combining elements that it doesn't understand, and it's making, in quotations, art. Collage is a beautiful art form. No great realization there. But it's been on my mind as of late. It's been in the back of my head. I like that limitation. I like that it's a very core idea of what kind of creativity is. Of a part of creativity. Taking two things, combining them to make something new. But not just images, but rather symbols. Human emotional symbols that we impose on these images and these items and these things that we find and we see and we experience. And then we combine them to create something new, a new emotional experience. While still very visibly showing the original context from where that came. It's not trying to hide the fact that it's a reshuffle, that it's a remix, that it's a reinterpretation. There's a recontextualization. That is, at its core, what it's all about. It wears it on its sleeve. And I feel like that's kind of how all art is. That's a very broad statement, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to make it, but I've done it. I wouldn't worry about trying to be too original. But just show us your point of view. Show us your emotional experience with these things. That's it. I'm also just speaking as an artist. I'm also just speaking as a small artist out of Melbourne town. AI has some serious issues it needs to deal with in the terms of the commercial side of things and how it's disrupting people's jobs, people's livelihood, and fuck all that noise. Yeah. Let's get everyone fucking comfortable. Obviously, that's first and foremost. And if AI is gonna have any ruin that in any sense, then fuck it. But just speaking as an artist, these are some of the thoughts I've got on it at the moment. I'm sure I'm gonna do many more episodes on it like this. That's the end. This has been in the back of my head. I might stop saying podcast because it's turning into something a little bit more. But this has been in the back of my head. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Please do let me know what you think of this new format. if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to this on Spotify, not much has changed besides a few sound effects that probably don't make a lot of contextual sense. Sorry about that. It's not going to change. But if you're watching on YouTube, please give me a comment about what you like, what you don't like. Is it better? Is it boring? Is it dull? Is it good? Is it exciting? Continue down this path. Put more work into it. Please sink more hours into this. That'd be fucking great. Hey, I really appreciate you sticking around. I'll see you at the next one. Love you very much. Be well.